What have you done in your life that you are the most proud of? Story 1. I saved a man's life on a bus. I'd never told anyone about it until 20 years later, despite the local newspaper putting out an appeal to find the hero. What made me proud was the fact that I'd helped someone and didn't seek any moral gratification or reward from it. I just got on with life. I learned a lot from it. Story 2. I know it may not be impressive to many, but honestly, my proudest achievements are the friends that I've made. I didn't grow up with much of a family, so never had the greatest basis for what constituted good relationships. Active duty Marine Corps, nearly done with a BA, over $100K annual salary before 25 and still growing, but my friends are still my proudest accomplishments. Story 3. Making it in life without a college degree. I'm 50. When I was growing up, I was led to believe that the only way to make it in life was to get a degree. I was always an average student in school. I've worked full-time since the age of 16. At age 18, I started a career in the automotive field, stocking shelves in a retail location. Since then, I've been working for one of the big three for the last 24 years, slowly making my way up the ladder. It took some strategic moves to get here, but I now live comfortably with a 6-figure income and couldn't be more proud of myself. Story 4. Raising my kid. I got pregnant at 19 and had a baby at 20. Was a single mom. So many people didn't think I'd be a good mom. But my son is a fantastic person and on his way to being a fantastic adult. I'm so proud of him and proud of myself for never giving up and always bringing him my best. Story 5. Never giving up when I absolutely wanted to. I thought I wouldn't live past 26. I was doing shit I shouldn't have been doing and it almost killed me. Quit everything cold turkey and went through hell for 2 years. Many times I wanted the suffering to stop and the only easy way was more of the same that got me there. But I didn't give up. Story 6. I applied for the School of Performing Arts in my city and was turned down. I tried to join a collective and was denied. Without going into too much detail about myself, I have made a living out of the art form and have multiple shows, plays to my name with reviews and all. I'm very proud of achieving that goal, and I still have a lot of other things to do in life, but this feels very completed in a sense that I can die happy on that part, or even go back to waiting tables because I've done what I set out to do. Story 7. I trained over 1,000 young professionals as they started in the industry. Watching them rise through the corporate ranks and gain responsibility was the most satisfying and gratifying part of my career. The notes they sent me when I retired were mind-blowing. What a feeling to know I impacted so many lives so deeply. Story 8. After growing up with a not great childhood and bad examples of parents, I think I have been a good man and a good dad. I have put that as my top priority in life. When all is said and done and my life comes to an end, my legacy will be my children and their children. My kids are older now and most importantly are good human beings above all else. Kind, generous, helpful, empathetic, and have integrity. That's my proudest moment. Story 9. I moved country with €800 in my pocket when I was 23 in 2013. Didn't know the language, knew one person to let me sleep on their couch. Today I have a job I love, own my home, car, amazing wife, play in a band, play video games, the works. I'm so proud of that. Slowly, but surely with a lot of effort. Now I just need to lose all the weight and quit drinking and I'll have the perfect life. Story 10. One of those things is beating IBS. It's not a disease, but it is a syndrome that can paralyze you in very uncomfortable ways. It makes you feel incapable and limited. It took me years to figure it out, but I can confidently say that it's not an issue now. Story 11. That might sound like it's not much, but it took me more than 30 years to finally have friends that consider me their best friend. We are ready to do anything for each other and see each other at least once a week. It's like I can finally rest and stop having to prove I'm worth something or be afraid of saying something that will make people go away. Story 12. Honestly, just making it in life. In 1 month in my early 20s, I broke up with my girlfriend who I thought I was in love with, and I was super depressed. I got a DUI, and I got let go the day I was supposed to get off probation at my job. To top it all off, a week after I got fired, I got into a major car accident that left me bedridden for almost 2 months. I thought my life was over. My bachelor's was in criminal justice, and a DUI and getting let go from your probation as a correctional officer doesn't really look good on your resume. I was lucky enough to get offered a grad assistant position at my old college, and I was able to earn a master's degree in secondary education. I've been teaching for 10 years now, and in that time I earned another master's degree, and I maxed out the pay scale in my district. I had to work 60 hours a week with a night teaching job for 6 years because I was paid so little for my full-time job. I thought I'd have to grind like this my whole career, but 3 years ago, I was able to get a public teaching job, and now I make twice as much as I did, and I only have to work 40 hours a week. Just looking back at where I was after that accident, I can't believe I've come so far. Story 13, pretty basic, but I got an apprenticeship after a couple interviews, was given the choice of moving with my parents around 40 km away from my job, or finding somewhere to live at 19. Got like a month or two warning. Had never lived alone and had never even considered moving out yet. Now, I live alone, still 19, and have saved around 23K, and don't really have to worry about my finances with how I live. No debt, no car, only rent and internet. I was constantly told how hard it would be to live alone, tight finances, lots of chores, blah blah, and I see none of that. Making food is easy, managing money is easy, and I spend about 2 hours a week on chores. Now, it's not spot-free clean, but it's enough. Rest assured I don't live like a streamer with trash everywhere. Story 14. I quit my job to care for my mother for 13 years. Rheumatoid arthritis. After her third knee replacement, she needed home care for recovery, then have foot fusions, liver biopsies due to the meds. Her elbows were frozen. Within a year, went to wheelchair, scooter, then hover round. Chairlift in the house, then 24-hour care for help using potty chair, meds, food. Intimate care. She died of a rare brain cancer due to methotrexate. She took care and raised me. I'm proud to have returned the favor. Story 15. Back in 2011, I tore my main abdominal, rectus abdominals muscle clear off my pelvis. After initially injuring it, I saw a few doctors just to say, can't see it, not there. I was big into weightlifting, so I used that as a pass to keep lifting. I was in so much pain, so I kept seeing doctors, 36 total. Just to be told there's nothing wrong with me. I started to think there was something wrong with me. Drove me crazy. I spiraled into a deep depression. But I wouldn't give up. Still showed up to work every day. In 2022, I found the only doctor in the US that specializes in core muscle injuries. Turns out this type of injury is very hard to diagnose, isn't taught in medical school, and wasn't recognized by insurance. 2.5 years later, after enduring everything and taking a gamble with a crackpot surgeon, I'm back to feeling good, do yoga every day, and overall back to being happy. Still paying off the medical debt, but at least I have the energy and mobility to work. Story 16. Junior year in HS. I had a scary moment in church where the lady to my right grabbed her chest and collapsed. I actually had just gotten my CPR card just recently, so with all that training still fresh, I knew it was all about 911 AED and chest compressions. She survived. She even wrote my JROTC instructor, and I was nominated for and received the Meritorious Achievement Ribbon. Story 17. Got my real estate license and am now at the luxury sector of Keller Williams in my first year. I still have so much to learn and am very humbled to be where I am and be around the people I'm learning from. This is a big deal because when I was a child, there was a point when I was living in a crack motel, living out of a trash bag and trying to go to school like a normal kid. Story 18. I'm just proud of the person I am. I didn't go to college, but I'm financially stable, living on my own, raising 2 dogs, and maintaining a healthy and happy lifestyle at 29. My 5-year plan is hopefully settling down for marriage, starting my own business, and buying property. I feel like I'm on track for all of these, and it's exciting. Story 19. Took an idea in the pub to make a beard oil for myself, to a company that employs me and my wife. We travel around the world and meet wonderful people, pays our mortgage, and allowed us to adopt a chocolate Labrador. Something we never could have done working away from the house each day. Story 20. Transition. Society makes it really hard to go a path of self-love when everyone always wants you to fit in and live a predictable life without making anyone use their brains more than necessary. I am proud to be no sheep. Sad comparison though, because I like those animals very much. In a parallel universe, I would have been a shepherd. Story 21 went into psychiatry and finally talked about everything that was on my mind. I felt so ashamed and thought I was the only one with these problems and that it was all my fault. So I was never really able to voice what was bugging me. It was quite astounding how I could talk about everything with everybody there. My experience was quite different from the outside world. I'm still working on some issues and may have made some steps backwards. But that psychiatry experience, it just changed me. It was quite amazing, and I hope that more people will learn that it's not about right or wrong, but rather about what it means to the person you're talking to. And fuck everyone who's giving other people a hard time just because they can. Hope they can see what they're actually doing someday. Story 22. When COVID vaccines came out, my country was completely non-prepared to roll out massive vaccination logistics, and people were dying by the thousands every day. I told my boss we should do a map of locations so people could find a place close to them with availability. It was way too complex, as most places would only open for a few hours and then close for weeks until new vaccine lots arrived. Nobody believed it could be done, but I insisted and worked with so many teams to build workarounds and secure funding, get reliable information with daily updates, and make it happen. It took weeks to get it built and working properly, but when it did, it really took off. At some point, we had around 1 million people using the platform every day, and it was so successful we expanded the program to over 20 countries with similar success. Regardless of your point of view on vaccination or how governments handled the pandemic, I am proud we helped people, and I am 100% sure this platform saved lives of people that night otherwise had not been vaccinated on time. How many lives? Nobody will ever know, but even if it was just one life, it was totally worth the hundreds, if not thousands, of hours invested in getting this project live. We rarely get an opportunity to help at this massive scale, but like Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. I was helped, and I helped others when we all need it the most. Story 23. I went back to school to get the degree I wanted the first time around, but father wouldn't allow it. I was the oldest person in every class, older than most instructors. Graduated before I was 50 and am doing something I enjoy a lot more now. I had a full-time job, a family to take care of, and 2 very young kids at the time. I survived on food I could eat while walking/standing, and 3 hours of sleep per night, on good nights, for 5 years. But I did it. Story 24. Anxiety completely overtook my life during my teens. Massive trauma dug a hole for me, and I never knew what was normal or how to fix it. I still live with it decades later, but it does not rule my life. I finally figured out what I want to be when I grow up. I have a husband, 2 kids, a degree and a master's. I work full-time. I drive, massive for me. I volunteer. I've traveled and even lived abroad. I could barely leave my home before. I never stopped taking baby steps, and it's been slow. But when I look back, I see how far I've come. So just living a mostly normal life where I can go out when I want to is my biggest achievement. Story 25. Overcome 25 years of solid depression. I'm left with some bad habits, but I'm tackling them and working hard. The pain has finally relieved, though, and I can think rationally now enough to be able to tackle the root causes and heal. Depression hit me like an anvil when I was 11 years old and threw my life into chaos. I had a pretty peaceful childhood. There was not the knowledge about psychiatry they have now in the 90s to help me properly. It still could be much better. I attempted when I was 15 after 4 years of intense pain, but survived and haven't since then. It caused me to fail my schooling and not finish university because it took all my energy just to barely look after myself and cope with the insanity inside my head. It led to me not dealing with relationships properly and living in chaos. It led to addiction and some very dark places. So many years of pressure on my brain mixed with drug use led to psychosis, which caused me to be put in a locked psychiatry ward for 3 months when I was 35. I had been sober, though, for some time when psychosis happened. I tried many different medicines, and 99% were still the wrong ones for me. Finally, I did my own research combined with talking to a psychiatrist and found the right medications for me. Within literally a few days, I felt relief, which has increased over time. Now I'm painting every day, working, going to the gym, changed my diet, looking after my house, sleeping pretty normally. I have an amazing partner. I'm rekindling friendships. I can take care of myself. I'm proud that I stayed on this earth so that I could reach a place of peace and can begin to achieve what I know I can. Don't give up. Story 26. I broke my knee, got kicked out of my ex-girlfriend's house and dumped, knee surgery, had 20 pulmonary embolisms in my heart and lungs couple weeks later. According to the docs, I died twice and only had about a 15% chance of making it through. Off work 7 months, work comp still owes me money for 4 months of that pay. Had my car and everything I owned in a storage unit repossessed. Fast forward 7 months later, and I'm in my own place pretty much fully healed. Still got a ways to go. And a few women that don't leave me alone. I kinda like the attention. I also have a crappy little Ford Ranger. Not as nice as my last car, but I hate to love it, and love to hate it LOL. One last thing, I'm also about to get a huge ass settlement out of all this in a few weeks, so I can always junk away my turd of a truck, and to think after those PEs I was going to off myself. Looking back, I'm actually really glad all that bad shit happened to me. Totally changed me as a person. I'm better than ever because of it. Now if I could only run and jump and climb ladders normally again, I'll really be getting somewhere. My bad for the novel I wrote out. Story 27. Well, firstly, my emotional strength. I've been battling with mental illnesses since ever, really. Anorexia, mental and sexual abuse, hypochondria, fear of illnesses, panic attacks, and all of these since even before 10 years old. So I'm really proud of me that I'm still here alive, reading, studying law, singing, writing, breathing, and being able to even attend 6 classes exams and passing all of them in just a month. I'm also really proud of my 15-year-old self for going on TV to sing in a talent show, Ulmao. But yeah, I don't tell myself enough, and I'm sure you're not too. So I'm proud of me, and proud of that little child that endured all the pain and kept going. Story 28. Besides 3 kids that are well on their way to becoming lovely humans, turning around my survival headspace and owning my part in things so that my once toxic marriage is now actually quite harmonious. I also managed, so far, to not only avoid passing on repeating the excessively horrid patterns of physical, emotional, verbal abuse and neglect. I hold down a good-paying job and do my part to support my family comfortably, in all ways. Aside from that, I learned how to find the love I couldn't get at home as a child, in my friends and community around me. They were all my family. I was well known for a couple things in school: singing, being nice, and being hilarious, especially by 15. And my proudest moment, when I was 16 or so, I saw one of my friends, and she was in another girl's face. So I moseyed on over to see what was what. Yep, they was fightin', or a boy. So after a moment of observing these 2 girls, I stepped out from the small crowd and was like, "Oh, damn, Cherie, we fightin'? Hey, y'all, we fightin'!" Cherie absolutely could not keep a straight face, but she tried with one more insult at a now kind of half-amused, half-bewildered-looking girl, to which I parroted that with some dumb thing like, "Yeah, what she said," to which that was that. Cherie totally lost it and was just killing herself laughing, as did the other girl, lol, like, my god, this kid. But you know what? Nobody threw a punch, nobody got hurt, and everyone walked away laughing. I really look forward to seeing that moment in my life review. Story 29. 2 years ago, I hired a homeless man I found sleeping behind my dumpster with his wife. Today, they have a home, a vehicle, and have their kids back. All fines and legal things are paid in full. We recently gave him a company truck to drive. This guy told me he was a carpenter and needed a chance. I feel incredibly blessed to be able to give that chance. I'm proud that I overcame my upbringing and gave him that chance. Story 30. I beat poverty. I grew up in poverty with a single mom. I put myself through college by working 3 jobs and then spent decades paying back student loans while I struggled to raise my 3 kids on my own. Finally, I landed a job that paid the bills, and I was able to support us. All my kids are grown and productive people. 2 of the 3 also graduated college. I beat the odds. The system in the US is designed to keep you down. If you're poor, it costs more to live, especially if you live in a rural area with no public transportation as I do. Unless you somehow cheat the system or have family to help, I didn't. Public assistance is barely subsistence level, even for working people. I was lucky. I am smart and have my mental health. Those who don't have that have no chance at all. Even with those assets, it was a long, hard slog, and I am proud and grateful to be where I am today. Story 31. Fought through my depression and self-doubt. I lost so many friends group in college, I genuinely gave up on building anything that last. Then last year, my first serious girlfriend also broke up too. All of these experiences really hammered down what a loner I am. Then now I am out and talking with many a new people. Some I have developed a good friendship with, some might lead further. This is a confusing life, but I am glad I stick to it and keep living. Story 32. Managed to go out of my comfort zone and enroll to university to a far city, then study and later work, write my thesis, work full-time job, attend exams, save money and take care of my girlfriend, then find and rent a nice place while building a new gaming PC along the way. Of course, now I'm stuck at shitty job. I have no self-confidence, no competitiveness, and I don't crave for power. My littlest mistakes are visible and no one cares what I do right. My depression came back and I have no future. But that time of my life is the only thing I'm proud of. Story 33. I guess the self-improvement journey I started 2 months ago after a breakup. The thought was, since I was going to suffer for the next few months, might as well suffer in a useful way, so I started doing all the stuff I was too scared or lazy to do. Got a tattoo, started going to the therapist, changed my wardrobe, started socializing more, Started posting art on my Instagram. Started going to the gym. I am so much happier now than I've ever been for the last 2 or even 5 years. But I feel I could still fall back to how it was. So I can't quite say I'm proud, because I'm not done yet. Don't know when I will be though. XD. Story 34. All things considered, I'd say the best thing about me is Mrs. 1LW. No, seriously. She's a formidable woman, a very successful professional, the valedictorian of our grad school class, a genuinely decent, kind, and compassionate individual, and a good mother to our only kid, herself, a really solid adult who we're very proud of. And for the past 35+ years, she's been happily married to yours truly, and with any luck, many years to come. So I have to look at that and say, objectively, I'm doing something right. Story 35. As a blue-collar worker with little education, I was given the privilege of hiring a person with a disability. This was an unpopular decision at the time, as I worked in a union shop where certain people thought the job the person was getting should have gone to union member. It was also a time when this just wasn't done. It turned out for the best. Dennis became one of the most popular employee in the plant. He worked for many years. He always had a smile on his face, loved working, and had changed an awful lot of people's opinions on people with so-called handicaps. Story 36. Divorced my toxic ex. I've been on rock bottom from July 23, didn't have any money for food, lost almost our child BC. I didn't have a stable situation since. Received a letter from court last Friday that I'm officially divorced now. I've met a man a couple weeks ago at the moment that I didn't expect. Want to meet someone, and how he treats me is overwhelming. I didn't know that this is how to treat someone. I also received a huge amount of money today. I've cried all day out of happiness. I've made it, and I've never been better than right now, mentally and financially. Even with my ex-husband, I've never had that much money. I'm low-key proud of myself because I did it all by myself without any help, because I didn't let anyone know how my situation was and didn't ask for help.